Well, it's April 28th, Hero Day. I have my favorite character on, Dr. Fate. I got my toys behind me. I don't know if you can see them today, but they're usually also Happy Masters of the Universe Day, which started in 1987, and I got a ghost. My guest is right now about the doc I'm gonna make. So next Tuesday at 8:30, I got a great guest. I've known him. This guy has for just art in general. He reps art. By the end of this week, I don't know the exact date, but we'll.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh no, you and talk to you and loving the artwork. You really do. You really.
Oh, you're
do.
kind.
We start. I just want a link tree where you can get links. I'm gonna post that. I'm copying one. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Sorry.
I thought maybe I.
Sorry. There we go.
There we go.
I do apologize. I guess I didn't delete the one from a couple.
That's cool.
Anyway, you put on a show. You rep artists. You have look at your it's on YouTube already. I got it all set up, ready to go soon. When we get to that, before we get into any of that, when did you get into comics? What was your intro, like the whole thing?
I was 7 years old and on a spinner rack and an Optimo. I'm old enough to remember what that is. I don't know if anybody else does. And X-Men 115. Sauron's on the cover. Mm-hmm. John Byrne, Colossus, Cyclops in the back, Storm laying on the ground.
Yeah.
And I looked at them and I was like, oh my God, these characters are insane. Look at these. I've never seen this before. It was so I fell in love with the X-Men right there. And John Byrne, Claremont is like my favorite team up ever.
Yeah.
So, and I also got 6 with the Mutant X where they're busting out for Proteus. They're busting through the wall as the cover.
Yeah.
So I picked up those 2 issues together because obviously they, back then stores would still have the old ones sitting on a spinner rack.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I do miss the spinner rack. So I remember when I didn't start collecting until 1989 when I was 13.
Okay.
But I read comics. My cousins had them, and when we go on vacation, every now and then, my parents would let me get a comic. And I remember my first comic I ever got was a Thor book. And nice. I don't remember the issue, but I was so young. I used to draw in it, cut it out, and make little Thor puppets and all this stuff.
That's cool.
But yeah, so I love the idea of going like into a deli or someplace and there was a nice spinner rack of comics and things. I do miss those days.
I remember going into a store and they had them on a wall, and I started collecting Excalibur when it was Alan Davis and Chris Claremont, which is another awesome run. And it was just nice. You could walk right over to the candy store, pick up some candy, pick up some comics, go home, read them. It was just simpler and fun.
Yeah. That was a great time. And so that was what started your love of comics, and you became obviously an X-Men fan, was collecting a lot of X-Men. What other titles were you into, or other artists and teams?
Well, back then I didn't really pay attention to artists much, but I loved what I loved and I enjoyed what I enjoyed. I didn't really start appreciating artists and writers probably till like the 2000s, to be honest with you, because I just read for fun. But I love Daredevil, and I love Frank Miller's run in Daredevil. And DC, I loved Ordway and DC. We talked about Ordway before we got on, and and Dan Jurgens, and just so many. Obviously, Klaus Janson inking. Joe Rubenstein when they did it with Claremont, and Frank Miller on Wolverine, and just Avengers. I mean, Perez on New Teen Titans with Marv Wolfman. I mean, I could name a ton of.
Yeah. I'm a huge Titans fan, by the way. Like all
the New Titans was awesome with Cyborg and Starfire, and then Nightwing is introduced and Deathstroke. It was just an amazing series.
Yeah, it was great. And that's all the stuff I read because of my cousin. Like my first real story arc I ever read was Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh, really?
That was like I would read comics here
That's
and
epic.
there. Yeah, and I'm like, so my first introduction was Crisis, not really knowing everything going on. I'm like, this is just cool, And then I got into all the stuff that came before it and after. But yeah, so that I mean, you just named a bunch of great stuff that I love too.
Yeah, and Titans, it wasn't. It was pretty gritty because back then DC wasn't really, it wasn't gritty yet. DC was more the kid side of things, But when Titans came out and they had like, what's her name, Tara, she betrayed them and all that stuff. It was serious and gritty for them. And then, of course, before, Neil Adams, before that with Green Arrow and Green Lantern and Denny O'Neil with drug addiction and stuff, they started to get a little more grittier,
Yeah, no, I agree. And it was, I've always been more of a DC guy than Marvel guy in the characters and stories. But yeah, I remember being like, what was it, 10, 11 years old, reading that Titan story with Terra. And I'm just like, it was like a little messed up for my head. And I went back and reread it as a late teen, early 20s. And I'm like, I can't believe I read that at like 10 years old. And I wasn't affected, I guess. Because that was a messed up.
And she was a young character to be messed up like that. So yeah, it was pretty serious, man.
So, you grew up loving comics. Obviously, you went to cons and stuff, and you were inspired to create a show.
Yes.
Tell us about your Comic-Con, the name of it, where you do it, and what do you do at these shows?
So, long story short, you see the jams behind me. For years, I would collect them. I have Philip Tan and Neil Adams and Scott Hanna and a bunch of big names. So I started to get to know them, and I got friendly with them. I wouldn't say friends where we go out to dinner, but we were friendly. Mm-hmm. I'm the kind of guy that if I don't like how something is done, I don't complain about it. I just go do it myself the way I want it done. So I was like, you know what? Let's do a small little show like it was back in the 80s and 90s in a hotel room. You get some good names where you can just walk up to Walt Simonson or whatever and just say hello. And it's all comics and it's all art, and that's what it's about. So the Suffolk Comic and Art Expo came out because I live in Suffolk County, Long Island.
Okay.
And I got a hotel, and I had Scott Hanna and Jim Calafiore and Peter David and a bunch of Rags Morales and Joseph Rubenstein, a bunch of people there because I love artistry, creators, writers, and of course a lot of local talent. And I mix everybody in. A lot of shows tend to put the local talent away, but if you don't have a published book and you're an artist, you could still be sitting right next to Joe Rubenstein. I don't care. We put everybody together. And it was very successful for a first show, a small show. I mean, it was very successful. So 6 months later, I did another one, and then 6 months later, I did another one. And I've had Scott Williams. Raphael's here. What's up, buddy?
Yes, hi, Raphael. Thanks for tuning in.
I've had Jim Steranko and Scott Williams and Alex Sinclair, Mark Bagley, and I get a lot of people there. And attendance jumped pretty quickly in 6 months, and it was fun. Where I'm going to do a 2-day show called Creatorcon, and I'm moving that to Queens, New York.
Okay.
COVID has put a hold on all of that right now. I'm going to wait until like 2022 when it's a lot safer. People are feeling comfortable. Regulations lighten up because things are better.
Yeah.
But the Suffolk Comic Book Expo I had scheduled for December, but because of the pandemic, it was postponed for March, and then I had to postpone it again. So now it's on hiatus with a date to be announced depending on how things go over the summer. And that'll be a 1-day show. And it's going to have Billy Tucci and Larry Stroman and Keith Williams and Scott Hanna and a lot of guys. I'm friends with those people, so they live local. So
yeah, I actually interviewed Keith on the show. One of the nicest.
I love Keith, the mayor.
Every time I see him, I don't know if there's a nicer person in the world.
He's very humble.
Smile on and just a great guy.
Well, when you see him, call him the mayor, and he'll know exactly where you got that from. Because of his smile at a con, he's like the mayor. He's like kissing babies and shaking hands and.
Yeah. No, I mean, I could tell you stories and stuff, but it's about you tonight, so I'm not gonna.
No, please share. Come on.
I'll tell you, the first time I met Keith, it was I think 2001, and he was working on the Phantom comic strip at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Phantom fan. I mean, big time Phantom fan. And I had like some sketches, and he's one of my go-to characters to kind of draw and doodle out. And I had some comedy pieces of the Phantom there, and he came by and he was like, "That's really cool." He liked them, and he's like, "You should come check out my table later." I'm like, "Okay." So I got him like, "Holy crap, you're like actually the guy drawing." I don't know if he was drawing or inking it at the time.
Inking it. He was inking it.
And I'm just like, you work on the fan. I'm like that. And I just was like, I fanboyed out so bad. I felt I was so embarrassed, like how I acted towards him. Now my goal one day, I haven't had a chance to do it just financially, but one day I do want to get a Phantom piece from him, because I love the way he does it. That's a great piece. And the other artists that you name that are, that you want to have at the show, that your friends, fantastic guys. I've met them all. Not like friendly like you are, but very friendly at shows, and great guys just to sit and chat.
They are. They are. And Sean Chen too, very underrated artist. Yeah. He's so good. Robert Manning is here. I thought you were at work.
And Mike Wilkie, hi. How you doing?
By the way, Rafael Tavares Jr., if he's still here, he does a voiceover for the trailer you're going to show later. He's a deep voice in there. He does the Barry White kind of Morgan Freeman thing.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to looking. Like I told you before we came on the air, I haven't watched it yet because I really want to just get my live reaction from it, and I like it.
I appreciate that, actually. And honestly, I'm just very grateful that you reached out and wanted me on, that you find me interesting.
So you post such interesting sometimes questions. Like I remember, what was it that you posted?
Hi, Christian.
Christian's awesome writer. Amazing. He was on my show a few weeks ago for the second time with his partner James Lyons. They have a company called Fugitive Poems, and James is the illustrator. Christian is the writer. We actually used to work together, teaching all of us, teaching college together, and some of the best writing. Christian actually wrote a script for me years ago. I haven't had a chance to even start drawing. One day, I hope to get to it. It's a great script. And he's right. Cool. Cons do sound like a dream right now, but they will be coming back. There's shows already starting. I know in May we got stuff going on in Jersey. I don't know what's going on.
Jersey has a lot. I'm going to be at Garden State Comic Fest too, actually.
You know what? I'm waiting till I get my second shot. Once I feel comfortable, maybe I'll start walking shows. I don't know if I'm ready to start doing them again, but I'm gonna start walking. And Garden State's great. I love Sal and Dave, and I've done their show. I've run their kids sections for them and stuff.
Oh, cool.
I was doing that. I run. That's one of the things I do at shows is I run kids sections, and I bring artists in, and we all kind of just run. So if it's we do a workshop each. So if I bring 5 artists, the show is like say 8 hours. They're going to get at least 6 hours of workshop. So there's kind of wait till you get in time, end of the day time. So we kind of take the first hour. First hour, no stuff. Last hour, no stuff. It's our setup and cleanup time, and
that's very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Do a lot. I'm just looking. So Robert Manning says September 22nd to the 24th is Dallas Fan Expo. No, that's great. I love that shows are coming back. When you're someone like us, well, you do, you put on your own show. But when I'm someone like me who goes to shows to make money, to promote myself, COVID has been hard on a lot of us. And it's, I'm happy to see shows coming back. I'm just not sure I'm ready till 2022.
Well, that's actually why I was going to do this one day, because for my live stream, a lot of the local artists were very kind, and they were donating pieces of art to give away. Mm-hmm. And every one of them was saying how they're sitting on a whole bunch of inventory, hundreds of books, hundreds of prints. So I was like, you know what? Let's do a small contained show. And this was before shows started coming back to help these guys sell. But unfortunately, we got a second wave that it wasn't a good idea. So we postponed.
And what about, and now you're saying Creatorcon is coming in 2022, you said?
Tentatively 2022. It'll be a 2-day show, and it's going to have an amazing artist alley.
Oh, if it's 2022, maybe I'll be able to afford a table for it.
That would be awesome. Yes, absolutely.
Start doing shows again.
I'm also very fair with my table prices. Some shows are a little crazy, but not me.
Yeah, no, I know, being an artist, you pay the prices. Hold on, Christian has another. Oh, and we did a great script for an animation together with Mike Flanagan. Somewhere our bizarre audio recording of it exists. That's true. I totally forgot about that. I wanted to animate something. I believe they both wrote it, or Christian. I don't remember how that worked out, but anyway, Christian, we'll talk about that another time. Let's.
Oh no! Listen, I don't. I mean, I know that I'm the guest, but I love this. I love the community. I love to hear. It's nice because now I've met Christian in a sense. So I love it. So
well, I will say this: when you get a chance, check out his website, Fugitive Poems. He writes, and James draws. They actually have a contest. It ends on May 4th. About their next anthology book, getting people into it. So
cool,
guys. Make sure if you guys watching and you're looking to get into writing or illustrating, you have a team, whatever, May 4th's the deadline. So fugitivepoems.com.
Cool.
Great work. But anyway, let's get back onto just conventions for a bit more. So, you said your cons, when you wanted to create the Suffolk show, you wanted to go back to how they were in the 80s and 90s, where and I the first show I ever went to was 19. I believe I was a freshman in high school, so 1990 might have been my first show. And I remember them. I remember going to these little places, whether it was a hotel or the basement of some place,
of a church,
church or whatever, and those like Legion halls. It was just something set up, and it was just tables of comic dealers and comic artists and the whole thing. It was just great. Shows have changed obviously a bit. It's very much, especially when you look at the big ones, the big two, it's very much
pop culture.
Pop culture now. When you do Creatorcon, which Christian is asking, how does one sign up for Creatorcon?
The link tree goes to every website I have, because I actually have my business is Philbo Entertainment Promotions, but I have subsidiaries, which is my art repping and my two separate shows. I mean, it's right now it's on hiatus, but the website is there to Creatorcon. At some point when the show is ready to go back on, there will be a form to fill out. You like to be a vendor, what you're selling. I'm very serious about the respect we give artists and writers at the show and creators. So you don't have to be published, but you have to be an actual artist, not just taking images off the computer and doing stuff like that. I don't do that. So to make sure I'm getting the right people at the show, just out of respect to the people that want to vend there and give them the best winning situation to make money, obviously you have to vet, so people have to fill out the form. What space are you looking for? Do you need electricity? And what are you selling? I also, it's got to be kid friendly. I don't really want the, and it's nothing against anybody or any genre, but if my daughters can't walk by that table and see it, then I don't think it's a good idea for my show.
I like that. I'm going to say to Christian, you might be out on that. I do apologize, because their work is gorgeous, but it is like, I would say at, maybe he can say, but I think it's high PG-13 R border,
Well, is it from violence or is it from TNA?
Mostly violence. I mean,
that could be worked through. I know it sounds silly in American culture. It's like, TNA scares you, but violence doesn't. It's not that. I'm not worried about my daughters getting into a bloody fight with a ninja. I worry about them getting pregnant at 15.
I get you.
So I don't think Christian would be ruled out. It would just,
No. I mean, I'll let you go to their website and make your.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
It's good stuff, and James is so fantastic, and I don't want to constantly rave about him, but when I worked with him and I saw a picture that he did, I was just always just super impressed by the work he was putting out, and me and James and I actually worked in the same department, so we shared an office. Cool. So I always saw the stuff that he was putting out. It was gorgeous. It's like very heavy metal influenced type of stuff.
Yeah, I see you got the Frazetta Dark Wolf behind you. I love it.
Oh yeah, I got Yeah, I got Frazetta behind. Well, actually, I got two Frazettas. If I move over to this side,
Oh, nice.
got that one. So I got those actually at the Frazetta Museum a couple of years ago.
Cool.
I was on vacation with my wife and her family, and they're like, "What are you going to do today?" I was a half hour away. I'm like, "I'm going to the Frazetta Museum." So I dropped my wife and her mom off at this little strip mall or whatever to go shopping, and I did. And I went there. I spent like an hour and a half. It was one of my happiest moments of my life, just to be able to see this stuff close up and look at it.
As far as what Christian said, I have violence and profanity in my book. I mean, unless it's like absolutely plastered all over where kids can't avoid it, then I don't think it's an issue.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, you guys
we'll look at it.
You can talk. Christian, reach out to him. I mean, and on social media, connect with him. Talk. The worst.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a stickler to where I'm not the soup Nazi from Seinfeld. No soup for you. Yeah. No booth for you. It's just a matter of the sexual. It's also, being a father of two little girls, I'm very sensitive to sexualizing women as that's their sense of power. I don't care if you're into that. I don't knock you if you're into that at all. But for me, I don't want my daughters seeing that and thinking that that's where they draw their power and strength from. But violence and stuff, you can avert an eye, or you could tell them, look, it's all make believe. You watched it. If they watched the Justice League cartoon and Thundercats, there's a sense of violence. Is it like gratuitously violent? No, but it's still a sense of violence.
Yeah.
But self-esteem, I think, starts at a very young age, and I don't think they need to feel like have everything popping out is the way to go. That's all. And again, I'm not judging the genre by any means. It's just a personal preference from being a father of two little girls.
And that's completely fair. I actually, all my work, I've always had two theories in my work. And one is based on your shirt, Star Wars, right over there. I said, if it wouldn't be seen in Star Wars or like Batman, the animated series, it doesn't go in my book. Like
nice.
that's my level of violence, of language, of whatever, it's just those. Okay.
Yeah, and again, my book that you're going to talk about has violence and profanity, so there's no judgment there either because I'm guilty as charged. Again, sometimes I think in the world people get offended and they misunderstand preference for lack of tolerance or something like that. Not at all. Look, there's nothing wrong with TNA. I have two children. I had to kind of deal with it at some point.
No, so. Look, it's great. And I actually like that you said that you kind of have guidelines in a show. There's a lot of people out there that'd be like, well, their money's green. They're going in my show.
No, I don't do that.
And I had a friend who passed away back in July.
I'm sorry.
And it's okay. It was big, and he was well known in the comic industry, and we could talk off air about it. But we were talking about doing a show together, and it's very similar to what you were talking about, because he was tired of going to cons and seeing all this pop culture. It's how many Funko Pops can you see at a show, or how many, I don't care about this TV. I'm here to sell comics, and that's what he wanted, like a real comic show, what it was years ago.
Because Artist Alley's on a Saturday when you have people signing, getting signatures from wrestlers and CW actors and stuff. Artist Alley is a ghost town. Yeah. And for me, the artists are the celebrities. I don't need Power Rangers. I want Dan Jurgens and, God rest his soul, Denny O'Neil, who was going to be at my show and then unfortunately fell ill. And I've had Jim Steranko, which you either love him or hate him, but he's a great storyteller. He's a great guest. He really entertains you. I had Adam Kubert at my last show. So, I mean, those to me are the stars. Not, nothing against celebrities, but go to a pop culture show. There's like 500 of them. It's 5,000 of them,
Yeah. No, I know. And I feel the same about you. When we were talking just about Jerry Ordway before we came on, I'm like, when I met him, he was the nicest guy on the planet. He is. And then he's one of my dream guests to come on here. And I handle just mostly indie guys because I want to promote
Sure.
indie people and show people what's out there that they wouldn't be aware of. But
Steph Wilson is going to come at me. I guess our peace treaty is over.
I'm not familiar with her, but I'm sure you know her.
Steph Steph is a guy.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right, because if you looked at him or heard him talk, you would still question it. But Steph is actually an indie artist that does a ton of covers, and he did a cover for Tragedy, which should be in the batch. And we have this banter, we bust each other's chops, but there's a great deal of respect between us, or at least he says it is. He could be lying to me, but
let's actually, before we get on to Tragedy, which I want to do, let's talk about the legendary illustrations. That's your license. That's your art rep. How did you get into representing artists, and what is it that you specifically do for the artists as their rep?
So about 2 years ago, an artist he's not a huge name, but he's successful. He's very good. He came to me and he asked me if I wanted to be his rep because he felt I had the drive, I had the connections, I had the the know-how, and I said I wasn't ready. And I didn't think it'd be fair to rep at that time if I wasn't fully committed and ready. So 2 years goes by. I started making connections with publishers and artists and really understanding how to do sequential edits and stuff like that. And unless I'm editing my own book, then I'm a fanboy and it's really horrible. But anyway, so I said, you know what, I think I'm ready to be a rep. And a man named Ricardo Silva in Brazil, who is actually the interior artist on my book, I got a commission from him. I really liked what he was doing, and I just talked to him and I asked him what he thought, and he said, yeah, I'd like to give it a try. And then Henry Martinez, who drew Blaze and Spirits of Vengeance in the 90s, and the new Exiles when Malibu was bought out by Marvel and Mantra. So he jumped on, and then people just started coming on board. And Peter Palmiotti, who's an inker of, he did Aquaman and, some Deadpool and some other books.
Yeah.
So what I do is, for those that require it, I do seek out work with publishers for them. Sigmund Torrey, who colors, I got him on Dynamite, working for Dynamite Comics right now, and he's working with Ryan Kincaid. And I also have Ricardo working with Marat Michaels and Counterpoint Comics, and he's worked for Big Dog Inc. And I had Sigmund working with Billy Tucci. So I get interior work for the artists I rep if you're exclusive. And I also sell your art at shows on my website. I'm going to be doing live shows soon. Just like I said, I was sick for a while, so things went on hiatus. I'm going to be starting an eBay account, getting on comic art fans' pages and stuff, promoting them, of course. If you're non-exclusive, then I just sell your art, and you're welcome to sell your art anywhere. I'm one of the outlets that you use, and I take a percentage for there. So I also, anybody who I rep my show, they get a free table. They're comped. And I also will, when cons come back, start getting them con appearances like at New York Comic Con and Artist Alley, etc. And they'll be under my Legendary Illustrations banner, and they'll get their tables through me, and we'll get them flown in if they have to be in hotels, and we'll get them at shows.
That's fantastic. And how long you said you were doing that for?
I started in November, and if you ask Sigmund and Ricardo, they haven't stopped working since. And I'm proud of that.
That's great. I want to say, Steph says, I love that Phil supports all artists all the time.
Yeah, I do want to say this. I hope you don't mind. I've unfortunately had to turn away, and I'm not making this up. I'm not saying this for any, look at me. About 100 people that they're trying to work their way up in the industry. So no disrespect, they're not like household names, but they were. And if anybody out there thinks that you were turned away because of your art or whatever, it's not the case. I'm a one-man show. And I can't create too much competition in my own stable, or that's not fair to the people I'm repping. My job is to take care of them, get them work, and represent them properly. And if I'm doing it for 50 people, there are some studios that are 50 people, someone's losing out. You become in competition in your own home. Yeah. So I keep my number low, less than 10, 10 people at the most, because then I can focus and give my 100% dedication to each artist or letterer or whatever that I represent fairly. No one gets stuck by the wayside, And by the way, I have a full creative team for anybody who ever needs a book. I have a letterer, I have colorists, several colorists, I have sequential artists, inkers, and they're all professional. They really do excellent sequential work.
That's fantastic. And you said only since November you've been doing this.
Correct.
So that's I don't know. That's a few months now, basically, right? Like 6 months, if I do the math.
Yeah. But you know what? It's been. Oh, and Ron Wilson. I'm representing Ron Wilson. I don't know if you know who he is.
I know the name.
He drew The Thing, Marvel 2-in-1, and Masters of the Universe, and when Marvel had them in the early '80s. Yes. He's done some Avengers covers. He's a legend. He's a good man too, and he's a good man. So.
That's great. That's great. Let's move on a little bit to tragedy. Let's take a look. Maybe we'll take a look at some of the art first. Let me see if
whatever you want to do. Thanks for the compliment, Steph. I'll pay you later.
Okay. Let me just. I got to make sure I'm on the right screen. I'm sorry. Give me a second.
No, not at all.
It's everything. I like to put everything in front of me on my Cintiq just so I can see it clearer. So let me see if I can do this. I just want people to see this artwork because you have a lot of great stuff on here.
We have 17 variant covers. We've got Will Spartasio doing a cover. We have Ian Churchill, Larry Stroman, Sean Chen. Keith Williams inks a cover that Henry Martinez did. Adelso Corona, that's the character design of Tragedy. Yes. That's my protagonist.
Now, before we watch the video, because I know the video will give stuff away, can you give us a little pitch about the character that maybe isn't in the video?
Sure.
Okay.
So Grace O'Connor, Irish, brought up in Hell's Kitchen, and some people wonder why Hell's Kitchen, Daredevil, blah blah. Because to be honest with you, the Westies were the Irish Mafia, and they were in Hell's Kitchen. That's where the Irish Mafia are. So it would be silly for me to put it somewhere else. She was orphaned at a young age, adopted, turned into an assassin killer. I mean, the trailer touches on it, but it's symbolic. Yeah. She was a former ballerina and dancer. Basically, the whole point of this story is, as much as there's a lot of action, I do like 9-page fights and stuff like that because I think comics have gotten away from that. It is a character study. She's leading a life that she's not happy with, but she doesn't think or know how to get the life she wants. And I think how many of us can relate to that? We're struggling every day to get the life we want, and we don't know if we're ever going to have it. She also is like every other woman I've ever met. They don't realize how strong they are, how beautiful they are, how smart they are, how powerful they are, and they doubt themselves. And as much as she will kick butt and really do what she has to do when she fights, I try to ground it in a reality in the sense of if she just fought for her life, she's not just going to go get a cheeseburger. It's like the comics forget about the reality of that. There's trauma to your soul if you're constantly in these violent, especially if you've become an assassin and you're killing people. That's a Sean Chen cover, colored by Mato Zapata.
Okay.
And the logo is done by Robert Powers. And so this is a lot about her struggle with herself, her own confidence, her not wanting the life she has, feeling like her life was taken from her, and she has no power over her own life. Okay. She feels powerless and frustrated. She also has a crappy adoptive father. She has father issues that she's dealing with. And it's just really dealing with her own inner demons while she's dealing with, rival mobs. There are metahuman superpowered beings in here. There's actually some Asian mysticism that comes into play. I've written 15 issues already, by the way. So
wow.
Yeah.
So when you created this character, you were sorry, I'm just removing this for now. I want to share this different thing. When you were creating this character, so you had a long-term goal for this character in this story, or was it something that it was like, well, it's going to do a one-shot, but all of a sudden, boom, all these ideas came and.
Well, that's the thing is, I really didn't know what I was going to do. She just came into my head, her whole aesthetics and everything, and this is the Breath of the Dragon. He is, I wouldn't say he's a villain, but he is he is the antagonist of the first book. Yeah. I came up with both their character designs in like 5 minutes, just popped into my head. Yeah. And I knew what I wanted to do for the first 3 pages of the book. I didn't know why she was doing it. I just knew what she was going to do. So I just started writing and it came out. People get mad at me, writers who have studied and this and that. And I don't know if I'm a great writer or not. That's up to the people that read. Yeah. But the people that have read the scripts, and I've had about 15 people read, and they all say they love the pace, they love the dialogue is real, and that they really enjoy it. And I'm grateful to them for that. And I hope that everybody else agrees. But I just write. And it comes out, No,
I completely understand that. I mean, I feel that's, yeah, I mean, I went to school. I'm trained in writing and stuff, but, for some people, it's just natural. You have a knack for it. And
well, let's see if people think that. Yeah. I could say that, but I might suck as a writer.
Hold on. Let me say this. I read the first 8 pages you posted on Facebook, which I do not have a copy of. But the first 8 pages that I read, I'm into your story. I want to get the book. I want to read it. I'm not saying that just because you're a guest. I'm saying it because the art was great. Like you said, the pacing was good. The writing was well done for those 8 pages. And I want to know more about this character now. And, and by the way, this design, I'm in love with. I love this design. And it's just great imagery.
This is Will Playden. He's an artist that I rep from Australia who did this that's painted in gouache. That's a gouache painting. Nice. And the logo was done by Rob Powers, but it was made into a 3D logo by his wife, Maura. I'm sorry. I like to give everybody credit because they work hard.
Dude, that's great. I love it. I mean,
because the truth is, comics are an aesthetic medium. You don't know my writing. You only know what you look at and you say, oh, that looks good. I'm interested. So I have to give them credit because without them, I have a piece of paper with words on it. This is Mauro Zapata, who's colored some of the other covers, and I think he did a beautiful job with the symbolism here and everything.
Yeah, so gorgeous. And these are all variant covers for your first.
Correct. We have 17.
Wow.
This is Mike Mez Phillips. If you're not following him, you need to. He's so talented. I mean, in one pose, he created such dynamics for her. She looks so badass. I love this. I had a cover contest for anybody that was interested, and you would get paid for the cover if you won. Mm-hmm. And Mike won the contest. And for those who didn't win, I'm printing 1 issue with their cover on it. And people don't understand the significance of that. You are now considered a published cover artist.
Yeah.
Even if my book never goes anywhere, at least you've got a credit as a published cover artist.
Oh, that's fantastic. This is. I'm just looking at it. I love the way. Is this part of her hair with the?
That's
blade
her hair with a blade on the end of it, and she uses it.
It's gorgeous. It just really is. And you're right about the pose. I'm sitting there looking at it, and obviously the mask that she wears.
Yeah.
Although I'm just reading some comments from Steph here that says Philip is writing a comic. The book names itself. Probably not a great. We were supposed to read it. So
that's Steph. And the story behind the mask is that there's the tragedy mask for theater and there's the comedy mask for theater.
Yeah.
Well, this is the tragedy mask for theater, but it also has the Asian theater mask, and the reason is when she was sent away to train, she had an Asian master, and she has daddy issues, so he became a father figure for her. So out of respect to him, she wears the Asian mask of the theater tragedy because she used to dance. So,
and you can kind of get that in this pose as a dancer.
Yeah, this is Chris Mad with his daughter Shauna Mad on colors. He's one of the most underrated indie artists out there. You guys should all check him out. I'm
gonna have to write a list of all these names.
I can give you anybody who wants to know. I can give you a list of hundreds of indie artists that deserve more work. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Now, as much as I rep artists, I like to promote everyone, not just the people I rep, because it's not about money for me. Yeah, I mean, look at the detail on the hilt of the sword, the gauntlets, the dragon gauntlets that I that I designed, and he just beautiful. And Shauna's colors are amazing.
Yeah, they're gorgeous here.
Great composition. This is Ian Churchill, the great Ian Churchill, who's done X-Men, Cable, Supergirl, Outsiders, Teen Titans, Deadpool miniseries. Let me tell you, I just have to say this. Ian Churchill is a bigger name in the industry, and he could have just given me a simple cover. We talked about, I asked him, could you just have her in her uniform looking in a mirror, and then the reflection is her in in her civilian clothes or something like that? He asked me questions every day. He really cared about the project, and look what he put out. This is what he gave me based on that. He added the thugs, the symbolism of the broken mirror with her as a ballerina and the roses, just unbelievable. And it's colored by Sigmund Torrey, who I also represent. And her pose, the mask, I mean, my Lord, Ian Churchill just knocked this out of the park.
Yeah, well, when, like you said, you mentioned his credits. I'm familiar with his work. It's one of those things you kind of don't expect less. But
you'd be surprised. He could have just phoned it in and got a paycheck for his name.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not denying that there are people who have done that. I've seen that.
Yeah.
But when you're that much of a talent, I don't think you could do it to yourself.
Right.
That's just how I feel. I mean, you always want to give it your all, and it's because, I mean, this, artists, writers, we don't get into this business for fame and fortune. We get into it because we love comics. We want to create. We want to tell stories. Every time I put something out myself, I want it to be the best that I can be, and I get a lot of nice feedback, a lot of great people giving me compliments. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at everything and I'm seeing all my faults. All I ever see in my work are my faults. I think
it's every artist.
Yeah, I don't see that. And that's what I was about to say. I mean, he gave us this beautiful piece that you and I are loving, and I'm sure our audience is loving, but he might be looking at that and says, man, if I just move that thumb over, it's like we're always.
But you know what? That's how you grow as an artist, because the second you think you're perfectly fine, you've stopped growing. Exactly. I mean, when you get an ego like Steph Wilson, it's over.
Yeah.
And then there was another colored version by Motto Zapata. Well, you don't have to show it if you don't want to, but it's fine. This is a
one?
yeah. Motto Zapata did that color version of it.
Okay.
And then
I skipped over it. It looked the same. That's very nice too. It's a little more muted. Very nice though.
And the next one was the homage to Hulk 181.
Yeah.
And this was done by Crease. He's an artist here in Long Island. He's a phenomenal artist. The big man on the page is a character in the book. His name is Tony. He's actually my friend of 40-something years.
Wow.
It's his likeness and it's his name. And the character is loosely based on him though. And he's strong. He's very strong and invulnerable. And he has an interesting fight with the Breath of the Dragon in the middle of the book. So we went with the homage to 181. We thought it was kind of cool.
That is great. Yeah, and I love that.
And by the way, I'm sorry, we're published by Third Empire Comics, which is the owner is Greg Harms, and Greg is an artist, inker, and everything, and he did the trade dress for me and just made this look fantastic. So thank you to Greg, and shout out to Third Empire Publishing.
Very nice. I'm not too familiar with Third Empire. Do they have a lot of books out, or?
They're a new publishing company, but I have to tell you, Greg is a man of integrity and hard work, and I see myself in the mirror when I look at him. I really respect him, and I want to grow together with him. So, and he's been very invaluable to help me with things I don't know as far as Kickstarters and stuff, and he's had many successful Kickstarters. So he has a lot of titles. Mojo Rising is live right now. That's one published by them. Creative Nights. He's got a bunch of studios under his publishing company that you'll be seeing more of soon. So.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, what'd you say, Mojo Rising? That sounds familiar. Like I've seen.
Yeah, stuff. Mojo Rising by Raj Mahan and Manny Soto.
Okay, very.
It's live now on Kickstarter, so
maybe that's how it is. I'm on Kickstarter. A lot of the people that I bring on the show have Kickstarters.
Yeah.
Because I want to help people get their books off the ground and stuff here. You got a lot of beautiful.
Yeah, this is Robert Powers, and again, him and his wife Maura did the logo. This was the first cover that was done, and it was a great teaser cover, like a movie teaser, poster kind of thing. So that's really cool. That's a variant by Robert Powers.
I like it. It's very nice.
This is the studio cover by Ricardo Silva, who's the artist, the interior artist. Colors by Sigmentori. So that'll be the regular cover for the book.
Yeah, I like this a lot. This is very...
This is Henry Martinez with inks by Keith Williams and colors by Mato Zapata.
Wow.
I think that perspective is insane because no matter how you flip this, it works.
Yeah,
you turn it upside down, you turn it sideways, it works.
Yeah, no, it's great. That's actually what I was looking at. Just the composition of the buildings and the poses that they're in. It's
Keith said to me, he goes, the only way I knew which was the right way was to see his initials.
That's fantastic. Then you got this one coming up right here.
That's Robert Powers did this. It's a mini print that will come as a stretch goal for the campaign. Okay. It's a free giveaway. It'll be like a 5x7 little mini print. I thought it was kind of cool. I'm not really into the chibi style, but I thought Robert did a great job and it was kind of cool. So we're going to give that away.
I tend to do a lot of this when I'm working with kids.
Nice.
Style. So it's I like that a lot.
Yeah, it looks good. I think he did a great job. And Robert Powers, I hope you don't mind me plugging him. May 18th.
Don't plug anyone.
Robert Powers, May 18th, the same day I go to Kickstarter. He has a Kickstarter, Penguino's Revenge, and it's a samurai penguin. And it's really cool. It's not for kids though. It's got violence like Invincible, like it's violent.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But the humor is funny. Like he makes you laugh out loud when you read it. So please go check him out, Robert Powers, Penguino's Revenge.
Great. That is great. I'm gonna have to definitely look his stuff up. And then you got the logo here, and
Maura, Robert's wife, did this logo with what he had done, and that'll be a mini print too. Actually, another 5x7 that will be given away as a stretch goal because we just thought it was beautiful with the ballerina. And then we have this garbage cover. I kid, of course. Steph Wilson, I don't know if he's still here, was in the chat. This is Steph Wilson's cover. Steph is a very popular indie artist, indie cover artist, so with a distinct style. And he often does like TNA books, but he toned it down for me. And I love it. It came out great. And Carrie Ann, his wife, did the inks and colors, and she did a beautiful job as well, so I don't want to forget that.
Oh, that's cool. It is a very nice piece. I like it a lot. All these that you got.
This is Robert Powers. That's his Penguino, his character. We're cross-promoting, so this is actually going to be a 22x17, two 11x17 put together.
Wow.
It's the tragedy half is a stretch goal for his campaign if you pledge, and the Penguino half is a stretch goal for my campaign if you pledge. And if you pledge on both, you get them both for free, and you put them together to get a nice big 11x22. I mean, 22x11. By 17, I mean.
Yeah, this is fantastic. You know what? I think I've seen this character posted places, so I might be familiar with a little bit of his work.
I might have invited you to the page because I'm the admin and I keep inviting everybody.
You know what? Maybe there's a bunch of pages. I got a lot of Facebook invites to join these, and I haven't even looked at.
I know, me too. I have like 1,000.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, how many pages can I belong to? I want to belong to them all, but
I agree.
This is nice too. I love this pose.
This is Shelby Robertson. He used to work for Image back in the 90s with Rob Liefeld and them, and Mato Zapata did the colors.
Nice.
Oh. We saw that one already. I didn't realize I sent it to you twice.
Oh, no, I must have downloaded it twice. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and then, but you know what? I got to say this, after going through all of them, I mean, there's a few that I really like, but this one, I love it.
It's insane.
It's gorgeous.
I got the original art in the mail, and I just drooled over it for a long time.
I would be too. I'd be looking at every little detail he put in here.
Oh, and if Steph's still here, I got your original art in the mail today. Thank you, buddy. It looks great.
So why don't we move over to looking at the YouTube? Let me just
Great, thank you.
open it up. I'm dying to see it. So
yeah, I wrote the monologue. My wife is the female voice. Rafael Tavares Jr. is the male voice, and then there's my dull voice at the end. And Andy Lee is the one who did the trailer. Andy Lee.
Okay. Let me give it full screen.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
get chills when I watch this. I'm a fan. I'm a fanboy.
You gotta be, right?
I was so excited last night. I was like ready to tear. I couldn't believe it.
I'll tell you right before I play this. I recently finished a motion comic for a company. I'm waiting to hear back if it's officially finalized, but I've watched it like a dozen times, and I just love this stuff. I love the sound effects. I love everything going on. So I'm like, yeah, I know I did this work, but I geek out at it because of.
Well, sure, and be proud of yourself. To say I created this, or I was a part of this. Absolutely.
All right, let's listen up here. Make sure it's all the way at the beginning and play.
They took away all I held dear. They stole my life from me and made me their weapon.
All she wanted was to dance. To live a normal life.
They made me a killer.
Join Grace O'Connor in her journey to self-discovery as she battles her own inner demons as well as the mob. Her greatest battle will be against the enemy within. Will she finally find peace, or will they all rest in peace?
Hi, my name is Phillip Russertt, and I am the writer and creator of Tragedy. Tragedy is a gritty, action-packed character study of a young woman who feels trapped in a life she doesn't want. Readers will follow her journey of self-discovery while experiencing intense action scenes that last for pages. I'm proud of this book and the amazing talent attached to it. We have Will Spatasio, Ian Churchill, Larry Stroman, Sean Chen, Adelso Corona, Keith Williams, and more. Ricardo Silva and Sigmund Torrey bring the pages to life. I feel strongly that if you back this campaign, you won't be disappointed. Thank you for taking a look at my book Tragedy, and I hope you enjoy the experience.
So just a little tidbit. When I'm naming the covers, we're going to edit it a little bit because when we're naming the covers, it looks like I'm naming each one, but I'm not really. So the one that says Larry Stroman is not Larry Stroman's cover. We haven't received that yet.
Okay. I was going to say, I thought I showed it. You didn't mention his name.
Yeah. So we're just going to edit that. But because it was really just him showing the covers while I was talking, but it lined up with the timing that it looked like I was naming each cover.
Okay, I need to say this because I said I wasn't watching this until it was live on the air. Before I even comment on how the video, the art, any of that, you have a backer in me right now. I'm letting you know that when this goes on Kickstarter, I got to follow it to know that it goes live so I can donate.
Thank you so much.
Because, one of the things I like to do on this show, as I mentioned, is promote indie creators, okay? It's about showing people things that are out there that they wouldn't normally be aware of. And I like to see things that are different. I like to see things also, even though I love superheroes, I like to see things that are non-superhero stuff. And even though you might have some elements based on the way they fight or whatever, you have a story there to me that looks different already than what I would normally see. And if you want to donate to read it, I'm excited for it. And number one, art, fantastic, just gorgeous art, paneling. I saw the first 8 pages that you posted. I see where my memory is really good visually, so I remember what scenes I'm like, oh, I remember like seeing that picture already and getting into it. Those first 8 pages, the voiceover, the story, the way you described it, really really just connected with me. And I don't want to say like, oh, I connected with the character, and they turned me into a killer, that type of. I connect with like this story just is, the way I see it is, and maybe a lot of people can connect with it too this way. Here's a girl who thought she was going to have a different life, but because of certain circumstances, her life is the way it is now, and she has to deal with it because she has no other choice. And that's
she feels she has no choice. That's the point,
And as we went on before, my audience knows I deal with medical issues. I don't have a choice in the matter. There's nothing I could do. So like, to me, I was like, oh yeah, I may not connect with it as I'm a violent, want to go around, I have to kill people type of stuff, but I connect with it like I live in a world where I don't have a choice,
right.
And I have to do it. And I was like, I'm just, now I want to know what happens to her. How is she going to handle this? So it's amazing. I mean, it sounds like a really good story. Sounds like a lot of fun.
I hope so. I'm proud of it. I really am. I think I did a great job, but that's me. Hey, Joe Ryan, how are you, buddy?
Yep. Oh, Joe. Joe's awesome.
Yes, great guy.
Yes.
So I just hope that it resonates with people because I've been told the dialogue is pretty grounded and real. Because the strongest of us still cry in the shower sometimes.
Yeah.
And we all, at one point, if not right now, are not happy with our station in life, and we're frustrated because we just want the life that we want, and sometimes we wonder if we'll ever get it, if we can have it. How do we get it? And it deals with all of that. Self-doubt, lack of confidence, not realizing your potential is what's holding you back sometimes more than actual life circumstances. If you feel trapped, you're trapped. If you build your cage around you, you're built, or if life throws you circumstances like your health issues that you can't control, well, what do we do? Where do we go? I have to deal with this. How do I deal with this?
Yeah.
So I hope it resonates with people. As much as I love the action scenes, like you said, I hope it resonates with people on a human level where they can say, there's a little of me in there.
Yeah. And like I said, I just watched what is it, a 2-minute clip basically, read 8 pages of it, and I'm already like, I want more. I'm engrossed in that story. You know what I mean? Because I was able to connect with it so quickly.
Thank you.
And it's just, I think if you could do that, then you can, you got something right there. So
when does God's ears?
when do you launch on Kickstarter officially?
May 18th, we officially launch, and on Kickstarter, and then I'm going to have an Indiegogo on demand right after. Unfortunately, because of shipping going nuts with COVID, we're not doing international with the Kickstarter. It's only going to be national. But if you're international and it looks interesting to you, DM me and we'll try to figure it out. To ship it to you and get it there. It's just I can't. The shipping. I mean, just to go to Canada was like $28 for one book.
I know it's rough. I donated to a couple of overseas Kickstarters just because I was really into them, and like you go overseas. I know one was in Australia, and say I donated say $15, let's say, that's like $10 American for the most part. But then I'm paying $25 in shipping. But I'm like, I really wanted the book, so otherwise I would have just done digital because it's overseas and downloaded the digital copy.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. I mean, it's really tough. I mean, because some people, as much as you offer the PDF, they want a physical in their hand or they want the covers,
And this is something I talked with my guest last night off the air. He's a friend of mine, Juan Espinoza. So if you guys can check out his book, I'm just going to throw him a little pitch. It's got like 5 days left on Kickstarter. It's called Adventures of a System Admin Back to Business, and it's a fun story about a guy who works as IT guy and has to solve problems and stuff. But we were talking off the air, and we were talking about digital versus print. And I'm one of those people. I always think comics are going to always exist.
Yep.
It's the way people are going to read them that may change. Now, people our age, I don't know if we're around the same age, but we have, people maybe a few years younger, older. We grew up where we were talking the spinner rack. We pulled the books off. We sat down and we read them. I drew out of them. I loved them.
I love the smell of them.
Exactly. To this day, I mean, if you just look, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, let me turn it this way. I got trades behind me,
Yeah.
And I got books over there. I got 6 boxes underneath my drawing table. I got another bookshelf. They're all filled. I'm constantly told by my wife, you can't bring home any more books. You can't bring home any more books. You have no space. But I like to hold them.
Yes.
But if we're trying to get younger readers in, unless their parents were readers and bringing them to the comic shops, they're getting their work digitally. They're getting their books, they'll read on an iPad or a Kindle or something like that.
I think there'll be a hybrid of it though, because they're always going to be the traditionalists that want a book in their hands. But at the same time, there's a usefulness if you're on a train to just be able to download 15 books on an iPad. So I think solid books will always exist, but I do think digital is going to take some of the market.
And I agree, and that's why with the book I'm going to launch in September. It's called Dax Photon. It's a sci-fi.
I'll have to have you on my show.
Thank you. When I'm ready to start advertising it, I'll be pitching it like crazy and doing the circuit. I've already talked to a few other friends of mine that do these type of things, and
cool.
They're like, just let us know and we're all good. But I wanted to build up an audience first. So I'm giving away a 60-page story for free.
Oh, wow.
On the web. And then there are characters within the story that I couldn't explore in much depth. And there's a couple of other stories I wanted to tell with the characters. So me and my writer, we're going to sit down and we're going to write about another 40 pages.
Awesome.
Story. And we're going to turn that into the book with what was online, plus those 40 pages, plus maybe a little extra. And that's what I plan to tell that. And I think at least it'll work for me because I want to build a fan base for this character instead of just people who know me as an artist when I go on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and say, hey, just donate to me because you know me. I want people to like this character, want to spend the money on the book already. And I think, I'm not saying my plan is perfect, but I think in this day and age with social media, with everybody online, even if it doesn't have to be a 60-page story, but if you give a 12-page story away, just let people know, get involved. And I think that might be a smart move for a lot of companies, a lot of artists. You see previews anyway up online comics, maybe 5-6 pages, just to give people a taste. So I don't know, maybe that might be a new model for certain indie people. I'm not trying to start a trend or anything. Like I said, I may not have the best business model in my head, but
Robert Powers does the same thing. He gives his first issue away as a PDF to show you, hey, this is a good book. I'm writing it well and it's drawn well and hook you in, because people, like you said, we don't have names that sell us. Yeah, we don't have prior credits to we don't have major characters that are well known, because whether you're David Finch or Bob Johnson, if you're on Batman, you're getting eyes on you. Yeah. But when you're putting out a character they've never heard of, and you're someone they don't know well, you got to do what you can to hook people in. Absolutely, to have faith in buying from you. Yeah, no, and I agree. And I just want to mention, Joe Ryan says my comics will be both digital and print copy. That's great. I think that's the way to do things these days. Really stay digital. Do both. You have to, because I agree. Audiences. I'm looking at the time. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to chat with you a lot longer, but no, I understand. I don't know. No, seriously, I want to have you back. And it's not even just to promote you. I want to have you back just to talk comics, talk art, things like that. And I do have a plan for a show in July, because I'm basically booked till June. So in July, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm having a few people on, 5-6 people, and we're gonna just kind of have a fanboy day. Nice. And right now, I'm telling you, I'd like to invite you to. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So it's going to be
it'll be sometime in July, probably, as long as I can get the dates for everyone to match up.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
That's great. Thank you for that. Before I do a sign off here, is there anything you want to mention that we didn't talk about? Because I can stay on longer. I don't mind. I just want to make sure we covered everything that you want to talk about.
I do my Creatorcon Q&A on Tuesdays and Fridays as well. And
hold on. I'm sorry. I totally forgot to ask you about that.
It's okay.
No, it's not okay, because I wanted to tell people on Tuesday nights, the reason you couldn't come on my show is because you do, shortly after I go on the air, you go on the air. Yeah. And I'm not, not competition or anything, but you go on what, 9:30, something like that? 10 o'clock. Okay, so I'm just usually either coming off my show or I'm still going, which is why I haven't actually watched it. I watch them the next day. I don't watch them live. How long have you been doing that?
Since August of 2020.
So basically when we were all in.
Yeah.
So
my convention was on hiatus. So I was like, I got to do something.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll just quickly tell you how Get in Tune, for those watching who don't know. I was putting on a show with a friend of mine. It's called Creatorcon. It happens in Dutchess County, New York. And our show that we had planned for, I believe it was March. No, maybe May. I don't remember the date. It was March or May. COVID shut it down. Mm-hmm. And we were talking, and we're like, I started live streaming because I was home. I had nothing to do. And he's like, can we live stream and just, do our stuff on our Facebook page? I said, absolutely. And we started doing that. We started bringing on some of the guests that were supposed to be on the show, and that's how it started. And then we were reaching out to people who we wouldn't be able to have at the show. And we were talking to, some celebrity-based people, voice actors, whatnot. All great stuff. Had a great time doing it. But I just really wanted to talk to artists. So eventually I took a back seat to the what we called Incredit Chat. And I said, I'm going to back away. Not because I don't like it, but because I just really want to just focus on indie artists and talk art and geek out about comic books and other artists that we love and everything. So I started in June of 2020, I started Get in Tune. And very cool. I've been doing it since then. But yeah, I mean, I think the pandemic opened up a lot of great channels like this. I have friends that go on while my show is on. I've never considered any of them competitions, just other great shows. They're even if they're producing similar content to me, I promote their stuff. They promote me. It's a great.
Me too. It's a community, man.
Yeah, it's a great community.
Unity is in the word community, and if we can't, you can build a village together. Yeah. Much easier than by yourself.
And you do yours twice a week, every Tuesday night and at and Friday night. And you go 10 p.m. for both.
Yes. The only time I deviate is if a guest can't do those times, or sometimes I have a problem saying no to people who need help. So like if they have a Kickstarter that's it hasn't funded yet and they have like 10 days left and they go, please get me on. Even I'm always booked 3 months ahead. I'll add a show.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Like I said, I'm booked till like mid-June and maybe a week or two later. Nice. And I'm doing, I had you on because I wanted to talk to you. Otherwise, I would have had to wait till the end of June to chat with you. Or and next week I'm doing a 2-day show. I'm doing two shows because my guest, I have a guy who has a Kickstarter coming out. I'm like, I want to do this. And
Steve Garcia is a loyal viewer. I love this guy. I mean, nothing but bro love for Steve Garcia.
And he says, and sometimes the shows are 4 hours. See, that's what I'm going to ask you. I've done this show. I started at 8:30, and I've literally done 3-hour shows. So I'm ending at 11:30 at night. And I'm like dead. I just want to.
Last night I was on from midnight to 3 in the morning after having been on from 10 to 11.
I would be passed out, asleep. I love talking about art. I love talking about.
I only sleep like 3 hours a day.
Yeah, I kind of have sleeping issues myself, but it's one of those things where it's like, no, I got to try to end at some point a realistic time so that I could get to bed, or try to get to bed early, and wake up for work the next day. But it's I find it fascinating when people start that late. I interviewed a guy from England a couple of weeks ago. Had the Kickstarter. It's called Oculus. I don't know if you heard of it.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Yeah, really nice guy, but it's, what are we, 8 hours or something, behind them. So like I'm interviewing him at 8:30. It's like 1 a.m. for him. And
well, I do 10 o'clock because then you get the West Coast. That's 7 for them. But if you do earlier, they're at work or they're in travel or they're having dinner with the family, you're getting the homework for the kids. So that gives them a chance to settle in and still watch the show. So that's why I do 10 o'clock. Plus, if I did earlier, you're lucky you didn't hear my kids screaming and running around.
Listen, it's life. You have family, that's what happens. I
know it's a blessing, but yeah, they get loud. My little one is like me. She's a big mouth.
I don't have kids, but I have a cat, and sometimes, if my wife isn't home, they'll be scratching at my door during the interviews, and I'll hear
my cat busted in and shut my audio off when I was interviewing Keith Williams, and then then it shuts off my video, and Keith is like, I guess I'm hosting myself. It's a good thing he was a friend of mine, or he would probably be like, "What kind of show is this?"
That's hysterical.
I was like, "This cat, he shut it off."
Yeah, my cat, when he comes in, he wants to just crawl over all my equipment. And
like, step in front of the camera on the keyboard.
I have 2 chairs in my studio. I'm the only one who works in here, but I have 2 chairs because for such a long time he would steal my chair. He would literally I'll be working and he'll be next to me looking up, meowing. I get up out of the chair. He just jumps in and wants to fall asleep. So I push that chair out of the way.
You made it warm.
Yeah, and I go into another chair to work, and I have it because of him. Now, it also means that if he doesn't bother me, I can invite a guest in. One could work at my drawing table, one could work on the computer here. But right now, who's bringing guests in to their home, really? But so my cat, I'll wake up I'll wake up in the middle of the night, maybe go to the bathroom, whatever, get a drink of water, and I'll see him pick up his head and his eyes kind of glowing in my studio as I pass it. He enjoys my chair here.
I love cats. We have 4.
We had 2. One passed away in 2016. I was very sad. He was more my cat. The day we got him. I'll share this and then maybe we'll start wrapping up. We got this cat. He was 5 weeks old. We didn't know at the time he was deaf or anything. And I was telling my wife, listen, I haven't had a pet in years. She grew up with pets. And so we got to train this cat to not jump on the bed, not do things. I'm like, I want to have kind of a real, here's the law. This is what we're going to have to train the cat.
Good luck with that. It's a cat.
Yeah, I know. But that was my mentality. And I'm sleeping, and then I wake up because I feel the bed moving, and I see my wife off to the side, kind of holding, and she's trying to sneak him on the bed, and I'm like, come on. And he walks over her and cuddles right into my arm. And I remember right into my left arm because of where I was sleeping. And he just fell asleep there. And I'm like, crap. And he did that for the next week or so. And then when he stopped, I was all upset. Yeah. I was he was, I have a tabletop drawing board. The second I'd open it, he'd get right underneath it. And I can do art for hours, literally hours in there. And he wouldn't.
Company.
Yeah, he wasn't like a lap cat or anything. But he was never more than I'd say 10 feet from me if I was home. Yeah. So, and being deaf, if I had to leave say my bedroom and he was sleeping on my bed, I would tap the bed so his head would pick up and see me leave. Otherwise, walk around. Yeah, no, I was very, very, very sad. He used to sleep on my legs. And I had trouble sleeping for such a long time after he passed away because I was used to his weight on my legs. And it's I know, it's sad. I mean, I love animals in general, a cat especially, and it's great when you have them, and it's hard when they're gone. And
their family, their kids.
And like I said, it was 2016. That was 5 years, and I still remember the day, July 13th. You know why I remember the day? Because it was the same day I had my first kidney transplant. He passed away on the same day I had my first kidney transplant. Yeah.
Wow, that was a rough day.
Yeah, it was rough. So I remember that. I keep him around. I have a mouse pad over there with him on it with one of my favorite pictures. So I mean, listen, I know you're going to be the same way with animals. You love them.
I had a cat, 19 years old. She was my baby. She didn't want to be with anybody else but me. And yeah, it's devastating.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It is hard. It's just now I'm sitting there thinking about it.
You know what? But we'll all be together someday.
Exactly.
We're just not yet.
That's how
we got stuff to do first.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're gonna wrap up, but I want you to come back on when we're gonna do the Fanboy Day. All right?
I'd love to, and thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
But before you go, and not even just thank you for coming on. I say this a lot of times. Thank you for being a creator. Thank you for everything you're doing to help artists. Okay. Thank you for giving people options, stories that they wouldn't get because no one else created it. So being a creator, I think, is a very special thing. Having the ability to tell a story, whether you're just the writer or the artist or whatever, and people need this, whether it's the time of the pandemic here, where I know things are starting to get better, but people need entertainment. They need time to forget. But everyone at any point in their life needs escapism. And you're providing that for people. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And while we're doing thank yous, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for reaching out to me. Thank you for the nice things you said about me. I think you should talk to my wife. You really should. Let's do this. That's Andy Lee, just real quick. He just popped up in the chat. He did the trailer. So he's a wonderful, generous, kind human being.
Oh, got a little choppy. Hold on.
Am I there?
Yep. Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
You're a little. Yeah. There you go.
I was just saying to Andy Lee, let's do this. Thank you, buddy. Great trailer. Great friend. Did wonderful work. And thank you to my wife for the voiceover. And my wife is going to have a print that she's drawing for the stretch goals and her support. I mean, for every great man, there's a great woman standing right next to him. And when I want to cry in a shower, that's my wife is there. So. I just want to say my family is my strength. They're my inspiration, and I don't know where I'd be without them. So thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. Let me do my wrap up. I'll throw you backstage for
Sure, no problem.
Okay. All right, guys. So that was a lot of fun for me. I love everything I've seen coming in tragedy. The stuff that Phil's planning with his shows, everything. I'm super excited to see what he ends up doing. And I'm definitely going to follow, definitely going to bring him back on. But next week I have two guests. I have a guest on Tuesday, I have a guest on Wednesday. Look out for the ads, because I'll be honest, right now I don't remember how to say the guests for Wednesday night, but my Tuesday night guest is sorry, I had it right here. Jack Edock. James Edock. James Edock, who has written. He's an authority on He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the Filmation version specifically. I think he wrote, was it the art or the history? I don't remember. I got to get that. I have a copy of the book in my closet. I'll be pulling out. But we're definitely going to be talking about He-Man. I'm a huge fan of that. Part of my childhood. So I'm looking forward to it. He's got a Kickstarter up right now if you want to look into it. It's for a documentary on a fan movie he was planning to make called Faker. And thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to check out in the comments. I left Phil's links to his link tree. It's been scrolling across the bottom. Make sure you follow his Kickstarter. So May 18th, you're there to donate, because I know I'll be doing that. And you guys, you just have a great rest of your week, great weekend, and I'll see you next week. All right. Bye, guys.